Hey man, let me tell you something no one warns you about. There's a moment in every woman's story where the script flips, a moment when she suddenly realizes she doesn't have you like she used to. Your energy is colder, your messages are shorter, your enthusiasm is gone. And no, you didn't fight, you didn't curse her out, you didn't storm out the door, you just unplugged, quietly, subtly, emotionally, and brother, that's when her entire psychology shifts, because a woman can sense the second your interest drops. And when she realizes you've lost that emotional internet connection with her, her reaction tells you everything you need to know about who she really is. At first, she won't admit it because her ego is faster than her instincts. She'll pretend not to notice. She'll keep up the same playful tone. She'll laugh at your texts, maybe even send a cute selfie. But deep down, she feels the signal fading. The spark that once made her feel like the center of your universe, it's not there anymore. She starts asking herself questions she never asked before. Why isn't he calling like he used to? Why didn't he comment on my story? Why do I feel like I'm chasing now? And trust me, that shift shakes her to her core. A woman's ego is built around one central belief. If he wants me, he'll prove it. And for a while, that's true. She gets the good morning text, the playful banter, the attention. But when that flow dries up, when you stop being the emotionally available source of warmth she took for granted, her confidence doesn't just dip, it trembles. Because now, she's the one refreshing the chat. She's the one trying to figure out what changed. And her brain, wired for emotional storytelling, starts writing dangerous narratives. Did he meet someone else? Was he faking it the whole time? Was I not enough? If she's emotionally immature, her first response is blame. You're acting weird. You've changed. What's your problem? But if she's clever, she'll go subtle. She'll drop breadcrumbs to see if you'll pick them up. She'll post thirst traps. She'll bring up your name in mutual circles. She'll casually say, "We haven't talked in a while, huh?" She's trying to bait you, to get you to reaffirm her position in your life. Because here's the raw truth. Most women aren't obsessed with keeping you. They're obsessed with knowing they still could. But when you don't bite, when you remain detached, grounded, calm, that's when the obsession begins. She starts replaying your last few conversations, overthinking your tone, analyzing your responses. She starts investigating. Did I push too hard? Was I too emotional? Did I kill the vibe? And ironically, the more she tries to figure you out, the more power she gives you. You're no longer the man waiting for her call. You're the puzzle, the emotional cliffhanger, the one she can't quite solve, and the mind hates unsolved mysteries. You want to know what really triggers a woman? It's not you being angry, it's you being unbothered. Because when you yell, she knows she still matters. But when you go silent, when your responses are short, when your vibe says, "I've already moved on emotionally," that's a death sentence to her ego. She might act cool, she might say, "It's whatever," but internally, she's scrambling. Because a man's disinterest doesn't scream, it whispers. And those whispers are loudest in the silence of your detachment. Once a woman realizes your interest has dropped, she starts pulling every emotional lever she can find. She might suddenly get emotional over nothing, just to see if you'll comfort her. She might bring up old memories, just to see if they still move you. She might even disappear for a bit, hoping you'll chase. But when you don't, when your world keeps spinning, that's when the panic sets in. Because the game only worked when she had your attention, and now, you've turned off the signal. The wild part, she'll feel rejected, even if she was the one who lost interest first. That's the paradox of feminine energy. It doesn't always want you, it just wants to know it could have you. And the second that window closes, she feels abandoned, not because you hurt her, but because her access is gone. And that lack of access creates emotional scarcity. And scarcity, that's the fuel of obsession. The less she feels seen by you, the more she craves your gaze. Some women will take this loss of interest as a wake-up call. They'll start reflecting, maybe even owning up to their emotional immaturity, inconsistency, or entitlement. But many, they'll try to reclaim your attention with games, jealousy tactics, delayed replies, passive-aggressive messages. But what they don't understand is once a man truly detaches, the games stop working. Because now your peace matters more than her attention. And she can feel that shift in every word you don't say. If she really valued you, this is the moment she starts chasing. She texts more. She asks how you're doing. She compliments things she used to ignore. Why? because she realizes what she lost. Not just a man, but a safe space, a grounded energy, a presence that once made her feel like the only woman in the world. And that's what hits her hardest. Not your absence, but what your absence reminds her she no longer has access to. If you've ever had a woman come back out of nowhere, weeks or months later, it wasn't random. It was triggered by silence, by space, by your lack of reactivity. She thought she could do better, thought you'd wait, thought you'd reach out. But when you didn't, her mind started playing catch up. Her heart started remembering the version of you she didn't appreciate. And by then, you were already done. This is why your silence is more powerful than any speech. Your withdrawal is more punishing than any argument. Your stillness is more attractive than any chase. Because in a world where men over-explain, over-text, and over-pursue, you do none of it. You let her feel what life is like without your emotional internet. And once she realizes she's no longer logged in, she'll either level up or log off. But here's the key. You don't fake this. Women can smell performative detachment. If you're silent but still checking her stories, if you say you're over her but still texting her at midnight, you're not detached. You're trying to manipulate, and that will backfire. True loss of interest is felt, not flaunted. It's when you're genuinely done. When her validation no longer excites you, when her drama no longer moves you, when you finally choose yourself and mean it. Real detachment is not spite, it's clarity. It's the moment you realize that keeping her costs more peace than losing her ever will. It's when you stop reacting emotionally to her unpredictability. When you stop asking what changed and start saying it doesn't matter. And once you get to that point, you don't announce it, you just shift quietly. And that quietness, that's what keeps her up at night. So if you're in that place right now, if you've started to emotionally check out and she's just now starting to notice, stay calm, don't argue, don't lecture, don't try to make her see it. Just keep being grounded, keep building your world, keep moving forward. And let her reaction reveal everything, because how a woman behaves after your interest fades is the most honest version of her you'll ever meet. When a woman realizes your emotional energy is no longer orbiting around her, her entire strategy begins to shift. Suddenly, she's more cooperative. Suddenly, she's more feminine. She starts talking softer, laughing at your jokes again, wearing the perfume you liked. But here's the catch. It's not always genuine. Sometimes it's just a recalibration. She's trying to reel you back in. Not because she values you, but because your detachment threatens her sense of control. And this is where you need discernment. Don't let temporary attention fool you into forgetting why you disconnected in the first place. The truth is, women don't panic when you argue. They panic when you stop trying. They panic when you no longer care enough to explain. When you no longer ask where the relationship is headed. When you stop being emotionally available on command. That kind of silence is more brutal than any breakup. Because it says, I've made peace with your absence. And peace, to the emotionally entitled, feels like punishment. They're used to being the sun you were just supposed to orbit, but now you've become your own galaxy, and that terrifies her. One of the hardest pills for a woman to swallow is that your silence doesn't mean you're hurt, it means you've healed. You're not texting less because you're playing games. You're texting less because your energy is no longer being wasted. You're not colder because you're punishing her. You're colder because you've returned to your core. You stopped waiting for her to validate your worth. And once she realizes you're no longer dependent on her attention for emotional oxygen, that's when she truly feels the loss, not of a boyfriend, but of a man who once gave her significance. You want to know the paradox? The moment you stop needing her to act right is the moment she starts acting right. She becomes more thoughtful, more responsive, more attentive, not because you demanded it, but because you no longer require it. You're not rewarding her inconsistency anymore. You're not performing for approval. You've made peace with walking away if things don't align. And that kind of emotional nonchalance, it flips her world upside down, because now she's not reacting to your attention, she's reacting to your absence. If she's emotionally evolved, she might respect your detachment. She might even apologize. She might own up to the things she ignored. She might say, I realized I took you for granted. And sometimes that's real. But many will just do what they've been conditioned to do. Mirror your energy until you come back, then revert. That's why you don't just look at her behavior in the moment. You watch the pattern. If her energy only rises when you retreat, but disappears when you engage, That's not love. That's ego management. Here's where most men fail. The moment she starts chasing again, they fold. They mistake temporary attention for transformation, but just because she misses your presence doesn't mean she's grown. Sometimes she just misses the control. Sometimes she just hates losing. And the second she gets your interest back, she'll drop the effort. Why? Because you rewarded inconsistency with re-engagement. But the man who stays centered, who continues to observe without emotionally reacting, that's the man she can't figure out. And that confusion, that's what breeds obsession. The woman who truly values you will respond to your emotional detachment with self-reflection. She won't just chase, she'll improve. She'll come back with clarity, consistency, and communication. She won't use sex, silence, or games to regain your attention. She'll speak plainly. She'll act maturely. She'll show you, not just tell you that she understands your worth now, but if she comes back with emotional bait, with emotional highs and lows, with passive aggression masked as flirtation, you'll know she doesn't want you. She wants the power she had over you. And once you've truly lost interest, you won't even need closure. You won't need to ask why she didn't try harder, why she pulled away, or why she played games. You won't chase explanations. You won't reread old texts. You won't crave one last conversation. You'll just move on. Not out of bitterness, but because peace finally became more attractive than potential. And when that happens, she feels it. In every moment you don't react. In every call you don't return. In every smile you give her that says, "I'm not angry, I'm just done." That's the irony of emotional detachment. It doesn't create distance, it reveals it. It shows you who was really invested and who was just using your emotional labor to feel validated. It shows you which women are ready for mature connection and which only want temporary stimulation. It shows you which relationships were rooted in respect and which were built on emotional dependency. And once you see that clearly, you stop trying to fix what's broken. You start building something better with someone better. So if you're sitting there right now wondering how she's reacting to your fading interest, understand this. If she truly wanted you, she wouldn't have waited until you pulled away to prove it. And now, the ball isn't in her court, it's in yours. Because when a man learns to value his attention, to master his presence, to walk away from emotional chaos without losing his peace, he becomes more powerful than any words, gifts, or game ever could. And once she realizes that she can no longer log back into the emotional internet she took for granted, that's when she understands. She lost more than your interest. She lost access to a man who was never easy to find in the first place.